I'm not even sure why I'm writing this. Maybe because the silence in this house is louder than it's ever been. Maybe because I just needed someone, even if it's strangers on the internet, to witness what happened to me. I don't expect sympathy. I just need to get this out of my chest before I drown in it. My name's Thadwick. Yeah, I know. Weird name. My mom named me after her great uncle or something, doesn't matter. I'm 41, work in IT for a university, and I've been married for 8 years. Her name's Delaney. Or, it was Delaney, depending on what you count as a marriage. Let me start by saying I was never the type of guy women chased. I wasn't the jock. I wasn't the bad boy. I wasn't charming or mysterious or tall. I was the guy who brought snacks to study group, remembered birthdays, and folded the laundry without being asked. I was the guy who cried at Pixar movies and apologized too much. And somehow, she picked me. She used to tell me I made her feel safe, that I was the calm in her storm, that she could breathe around me in a way she never could with other guys. So when she came home one day talking about this coastal healing retreat with her girlfriends, I didn't question it. I even helped her pack. I remember placing her jewelry roll into the suitcase. I touched her wedding ring, just for a second. It was still warm from her hand. You gonna wear this on the trip? I asked. She hesitated. Not long. Just enough for my stomach to tighten. I might leave it, she said. Don't want to lose it in the ocean or something. I nodded like an idiot. Of course. The ocean. Sand gets under rings. Totally logical. I kissed her on the forehead and said, have a peaceful trip, Lainey. 3 days later, my cousin sent me a text. Bro, you see this? It was a blurry screenshot of a TikTok. Not even hers. Some stranger had tagged the resort in a video montage. Music playing. Girls dancing barefoot in beach dresses. A quick pan of the fire pit. Laughter. Toasting champagne. I nearly scrolled past it until I saw her. Delaney. Wearing a sun hat, sitting cross-legged on a lounge chair, laughing with a guy. Not a waiter. Not staff. Just a guy. His hand was on her knee. Her hand was on her drink. And the ring? Gone. At first, I couldn't breathe. Not like in a dramatic way, I just forgot how. I stared at the screen. Rewound the clip. Watched it again. There was no mistaking it. No ring. Not even the tan line. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the dark ceiling, thinking about that tiny silver band I bought with 3 months' savings. I remembered the night I proposed under that weird sculpture in Philadelphia, how she said yes through tears and kissed me like she meant it. I remembered everything, except how we got here. She texted me the next morning like nothing happened. Hey babe, so relaxed here. You'd love it. We're going horseback riding today, Red Heart. No photo. No mention of me. No call. Just a bubble of fake warmth. I didn't respond. I couldn't. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I made a fake account. I followed the guy from the video. His name's Hunter, of course. Shirtless, six-pack, sunglasses indoors. And what I saw next. It wrecked me more than I ever thought possible. I should have stopped myself. I should have closed the app, gone for a walk, maybe taken a breath and convinced myself I was overreacting. But I didn't. I clicked through. His profile was public, of course it was. Guys like him don't need privacy. They want to be seen. And there she was. My wife. My Delaney. In 3 different posts. None of them outright scandalous, just subtle enough to make me feel like I was going crazy. In one, they were sitting around a bonfire. She had her feet in his lap. I know my wife's legs. I memorized the scar on her shin, the way her ankle curves. It was her. He didn't tag her, but it didn't matter. I saw her laugh frozen mid-frame, had tilted back like she hadn't laughed that hard in years. Not with me, anyway. The caption? Some people vibe instantly. The comments were filled with fire emojis, bro she's bad, and one from a mutual friend of his that said, you pulling married chicks now? Damn. That one shattered something in me. I wanted to call her right then. I wanted to scream. But instead, I just sat there and cried. I know that sounds pathetic. I'm not ashamed. I just broke down. Our wedding played on a loop in my head, the way she clutched my hands during our vows, the way she sobbed when my mom gave her a bracelet that belonged to my grandmother, the way we danced in our socks at the Airbnb afterward because she hated heels. All of that, it felt fake now. Or worse, it felt real, but only to me. By the next morning, I still hadn't heard her voice. Just another generic text. We might stay one extra day. Rain's coming in, and we don't want to fly through storms. I didn't reply. Instead, I called her sister, Mallory. She and I always got along, and I figured if anyone would tell me I was spiraling unnecessarily, it'd be her. But the way she answered, hesitant, slow, it told me everything. Thad, I don't know what's going on exactly, but I'll just say this. Delaney hasn't mentioned you at all. I only found out she was in Seabrook because I saw Trish post something. I assumed you were with her. No, I said, trying not to let my voice crack. She's on a girls' trip. Mallory hesitated again. Well, then why was she at brunch with that guy? That was it. The last little sliver of doubt in me snapped. She wasn't wearing the ring because she didn't want to. She wasn't protecting it from ocean waves or sandy cocktails. She removed it because it didn't serve her anymore. She didn't want the symbol. She wanted freedom, flirtation, attention. She wanted to play like she was single again. And maybe she was. I didn't confront her right away. No, I did something else instead. I printed every post, every comment, every screenshot. I laid them out on the table like a crime board, trying to trace where I went wrong, where I failed. I even went back through our text history to see if there were signs, hints that she'd been drifting from me long before this trip. There were. Too many. That night, I packed a duffel bag. Just essentials. I didn't know where I'd go. I just knew I couldn't be here when she got back. I left a note on the kitchen counter. 5 words. I saw everything. Don't call. And then I walked out the door. What happened next? I wasn't ready for. I stayed at a small roadside motel just outside town. Not because it was comfortable, it wasn't, but because it was the only place I knew she wouldn't think to look. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I shut off my phone and stared at the popcorn ceiling for hours, trying to quiet the war inside my head. I felt like 2 people were living in me, one who still loved her desperately, and one who hated her for destroying the version of our life I thought was real. The morning she came back, I was already gone, but I imagined it in my head. The key turning in the lock. The sound of her wheeling that loud, silver suitcase over the threshold. The confused look on her face when she saw the house was empty. My shoes missing from the closet. My charger gone. The kitchen, still and cold. And then, the note. 5 words. That was all I gave her. I turned my phone back on that afternoon. 15 missed calls. 6 texts. 1 voicemail. The texts went from confused to nervous to angry. Where are you? Is this a joke? I don't understand what you think you saw, but we need to talk. Thad, this isn't fair. You're overreacting. If you're going to punish me for having fun, maybe we should rethink things. That last one? It flipped a switch in me. Punish? Fun? Removing your wedding ring and draping your legs across a stranger in public while pretending your husband doesn't exist, that's fun? I listened to the voicemail once. Her voice sounded shaky, but not remorseful. Thad, I don't know what kind of story you're telling yourself, but nothing happened. I took the ring off because it was chafing. You know my skin gets irritated. And Hunter? He was just a friend. A sweet guy. You're blowing this up, and it's scaring me. Please come home so we can talk. I miss you. I nearly laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how familiar that voice was. That voice had soothed me during panic attacks. That voice once whispered forever against my neck as we lay tangled in bedsheets. Now it sounded like a stranger was mimicking my wife. And doing a bad job of it. I didn't go home. I needed space to think. Instead, I went back to my cousin Jeremy's place. He lived in the city and owed me a favor. He welcomed me without questions. You good, man? He asked. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. That night, I made a list. A physical one. Old school. 2 columns. On one side, reasons to stay. On the other, reasons to leave. The stay side was pitiful. We had good years. She used to make me feel loved. Maybe I'm overthinking. That last one, even I couldn't believe I wrote. The leave side? It filled the whole page. The lies. The detachment. The public humiliation. The way she didn't fight for me when she got caught. The fact that I even had to do this exercise in the first place. And yet, some part of me still needed closure. Not drama. Not revenge. Just truth. I needed to see her face. To look her in the eye and ask the one question that kept me awake for 4 nights straight. When exactly did I stop being enough for you? So, I texted her. I'll come by the house tomorrow. Be there. She replied in seconds. Okay. I'll make coffee. As if it were just another morning. I wish I could tell you that conversation gave me peace. But what happened when I walked through that door? I'll never forget. When I pulled into the driveway the next day, everything looked exactly the same. The flowers she always forgot to water were still wilting by the porch. The mailbox creaked when I passed it. The welcome mat she bought on sale, home is where the wine is, still sat crooked by the door. It was like the universe hadn't caught up to what was happening yet. But I had. I didn't knock. I used my key. She was sitting at the kitchen table in one of my old hoodies, legs curled up beneath her. No makeup. Her hair tied in that loose knot she always did when she didn't want to be seen. She looked up, and for a second, just a second, I saw panic. Then she blinked it away and smiled. Hi. I didn't sit down. Where's the ring? I asked. My voice wasn't angry. It was flat, numb. She looked down at the coffee mug in her hands. Then, slowly, she reached into the hoodie pocket and pulled out the silver band. She slid it onto the table, pushing it toward me like a lost coin. I took it off because I needed a break, she said softly. I blinked. A break from what? From the pressure. From feeling like a wife instead of a person. From always being someone's something. It wasn't about you. It's always been about me, I replied, my voice rising despite myself. You just don't want to admit that. She stood up. Thad, I didn't cheat on you. I didn't sleep with Hunter. I didn't even kiss him. We talked. He listened. He made me feel seen. That's it. That's it. I laughed bitterly. So you're telling me that stripping off the symbol of our marriage, cozying up to another man, and letting the world see you pretend to be single is just nothing? I didn't pretend to be single. I just took a break from being married. There was a long pause. Do you hear yourself? I asked. Do you have any idea what that sounds like to someone who spent the last 8 years loving you even when it hurt? Her eyes welled up. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just got lost. I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. Then you should have talked to me, I said. You should have asked for space instead of making a spectacle of disrespect. I didn't want space from you. I wanted space from me. That line stopped me. It hit somewhere deep. I didn't know if it was real or if it was something she read in a self-help book, but it made me hesitate. That was her gift, always knowing how to say just enough to keep me emotionally tethered. Always stopping right at the edge of honesty, but never stepping fully into it. I sat down then, not because I forgave her, but because I needed to look her in the eyes when I said the next part. You don't get to play confused when you made deliberate choices. You took the ring off. You entertained attention. You posted nothing with me in it for months. You left me in a marriage you still lived in. And when I noticed, you made me the problem. She didn't deny it. She just stared at me like I was slipping through her fingers. Maybe I was. I need to leave, I said quietly. She nodded, finally looking afraid. So that's it? You're giving up? No, I said. I'm just finally seeing what's been happening. And I can unsee it. I left her standing in the kitchen, holding her ring like it still meant something. But I wasn't done. That night, something unexpected landed in my inbox. And it changed the story completely. I was lying on the pull-out couch in Jeremy's apartment, staring at the ceiling fan. It was one of those nights where even blinking felt heavy. My body was tired, but my mind was sprinting through every memory, every moment I wished I could go back and change. If I had noticed the distance earlier, if I had asked harder questions, if I hadn't trusted so easily. Then my phone buzzed. At first, I ignored it. But something told me to look. It was a message on Instagram from someone I didn't recognize. A private account. No profile picture. No followers. One message. You deserve to know the truth. She's been lying to you for a lot longer than just the trip. Check the photos I sent. I'm sorry. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I clicked the message request. It opened up a hidden chat for photos. My fingers shook as I tapped the first one. It was a screenshot of a private story on Snapchat. Delaney, in a different outfit than I'd seen before, sitting across a table from Hunter, his hand on hers, candlelight between them. She was smiling, not posing, just caught in a candid moment that was never meant for me to see. Second photo, them at the same beach house where the girls' trip supposedly happened. Only this time, she was alone with him, sitting on a porch swing, feet tangled. Third photo, blurry, but unmistakable, her walking into a hotel lobby with Hunter. At night, arms around each other. The last image was the worst. It was her, in a mirror selfie, wearing lingerie I'd never seen before, holding a glass of wine, smirking. And the caption said, "Wife life who?" Winking face. My world tilted. I felt my stomach lurch, and I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up. My head was spinning. My skin felt cold. I'd been so careful not to accuse her of anything beyond emotional betrayal. But now, there was no denying what this was. She hadn't just removed the ring during the trip. She'd taken it off months before, in every way that mattered. I messaged the account back. Who are you? How do you have these? They responded within seconds. I'm Hunter's ex. He played me the same way he's playing your wife. I thought you should know. That was it. And I believed her. Everything made sense now, the way Delaney had started working late, so often, the mysterious beach house that wasn't on the Airbnb confirmation, the sudden urge to reconnect with girlfriends who hadn't been in our lives for years. I was such a fool. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on that pull-out couch, watching the sun bleed into the blinds. When Jeremy woke up and saw me sitting there, he didn't say anything. He just handed me a mug of coffee and nodded. I told him everything. I showed him the photos. He winced. You can't go back to her after this, he said. You know that, right? I nodded, but there was something unfinished in me. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't even looking for answers anymore. I wanted honesty. And more than anything, I wanted to confront her with what I knew, face to face, with the proof in my hand. So I drove back to the house one final time. And what happened when I walked through that door wasn't a confession. It was a war. The drive to the house felt longer than usual, though I knew every crack in the road, every stop sign, every overgrown bush we used to joke about trimming. But that morning, the whole neighborhood felt like a stage, and I was walking into the final act of something I didn't ask to be part of. Delaney was home. Her car was in the driveway. The lights in the living room were on, blinds half drawn like she'd been watching for me. I sat in my car for a long time, just staring at the door. The screenshots were still open on my phone, the images burned into my brain. I'd gone through every scenario in my head, how she might cry, deny, accuse me of invading her privacy. But none of it could have prepared me for the way she reacted when I walked in. She was sitting on the couch, dressed like she hadn't slept, eyes puffy, blanket around her shoulders. And she didn't flinch when I entered. No fake smile. No scramble to hide guilt. Just a long, exhausted stare. You saw them, she said. That was it. No excuses. No shock. No lies. Just the truth, dropped like a cold weight in the center of the room. I stood there, jaw clenched, fists tightening around my phone. You weren't even going to lie about it? She shook her head slowly. What would be the point? I couldn't breathe. For a moment, I genuinely couldn't speak. I needed you to deny it, Delaney. Even if it was fake. I needed you to try. To at least act like you respected me enough to pretend this didn't happen. She looked down, eyes welling up. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. You didn't know how? I laughed bitterly. You could have tried not doing it. That might have helped. I didn't plan it, she whispered. Didn't plan it? I repeated. So what? He just happened to fall into your lap. You just accidentally booked a hotel room with a guy while I was sitting at home thinking you were at a yoga retreat. She opened her mouth but didn't speak. The silence was the answer. I gave you everything I had, I continued. Every part of me that mattered. I stayed when things got hard. I made space for you when you pushed me away. I defended you to people who said you were distant. And the whole time, you were slipping off your ring and slipping into someone else's life. I felt like I disappeared, she said quietly. Like I was fading. And with him, I felt alive again. I stepped back, like the words hit me physically. And you couldn't feel alive with me because I was boring? Safe? Predictable? No, she said, standing up. Because you made everything about us. And I needed something that was just mine. Something selfish. Something reckless. I didn't go looking for it. But when it found me, I didn't run. There was a pause between us. A horrible, aching pause. I pulled the ring from my pocket. I'd picked it up from the table days earlier, without knowing why. I placed it on the coffee table between us. You're right, I said. You didn't run. And neither will I. But I won't chase someone who walked away while still sleeping in the bed I made. She looked like she wanted to reach for me. Like she didn't expect me to stand my ground. But I turned away. Before I left, I said one last thing. You didn't just cheat on me, Delaney. You erased me. And I'm finally waking up. Then I walked out. I didn't look back. But the fallout hadn't even started yet. Because just when I thought it was over, someone else came forward, someone I never expected, and revealed a side of Delaney I didn't even know existed. And what they told me flipped this entire story on its head. I didn't think anything else could surprise me at that point. I thought I'd scraped the bottom of betrayal. I thought I'd already lost everything I could. But I was wrong. 2 days after I walked out for the last time, I was at a coffee shop, trying to breathe like a normal person. You know that feeling when the world keeps spinning but your insides are stalled in grief? That was me. I couldn't focus on anything. Couldn't enjoy music. Couldn't answer well-meaning texts from friends who didn't understand the difference between heartbreak and humiliation. That's when I got the message. It came from a name I barely recognized, Trish Bellamy, one of Delaney's old coworkers. They weren't close, at least not anymore. Last I heard, Trish moved to Seattle and got engaged to some guy in finance. So when I saw her name pop up on Messenger, I almost ignored it. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Hey Thad, I heard what happened between you and Lainey. I wasn't going to get involved, but something's been bothering me for a while. I think you should know. Hunter wasn't the first. She was seeing someone at our office before he was ever in the picture. My fingers froze above the screen. I'm not trying to stir the pot, Trish continued, but she wasn't subtle about it. His name was Byron. He was her boss before the company restructure. They were always working late. Everyone assumed something was going on, but I didn't want to believe it. She told me once that emotional connections are sometimes more dangerous than physical ones, and that stuck with me. My stomach turned. I called Trish. I didn't want hearsay. I wanted facts. She answered almost immediately. Look, I shouldn't even be telling you this, she said, her voice low and cautious. But I always liked you. You were good to her. And the way she treated you? It wasn't right. I asked her everything. When it started. How long it went on. If she was sure. She was sure. She started having meetings after hours. She'd show up the next morning in the same blouse. I confronted her once, half joking, but she gave me a look like I was the naive one. Like she was above guilt. I hung up the phone, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. I just sat there, staring into the swirl of my coffee, letting the weight of it all settle in. She didn't just betray me with one man during a girl's trip. She'd been emotionally and probably physically cheating for over a year with more than one man. Each time, she had come home, kissed me, asked me to pick up milk, and pretended like our life was untouched. I felt like a placeholder. A prop. The safe, loyal husband she used as a foundation while she played a different character when I wasn't around. And all those nights I'd rubbed her feet while she, unwound from the stress of work, she was probably thinking about him. Not me. I decided I couldn't stay in the city anymore. Every street, every grocery aisle, every crosswalk was a memory. I needed distance. I needed to remember who I was before she rewrote my story with lies. I met with a lawyer the next morning. It was quiet. Simple. Unemotional. I handed over the documents I'd collected, the screenshots, the messages, the timeline. He nodded like he'd seen it all before. You'll be all right, he said. You already are. And just like that, I started the process of legally removing myself from the woman who emotionally removed me from her heart long ago. But even that wasn't the final chapter. Because just as I began building a life without Delaney, she showed up again. At my job. Tears. Apologies. Promises. And a final confession I never asked for, but will remember for the rest of my life. I didn't expect to see her there. It was a Tuesday. Overcast. Quiet. I just finished helping a faculty member at the university reset her email, something that should have been forgettable. But when I stepped out of the IT office into the hallway, there Delaney was, leaning against the wall like she belonged there, like she hadn't ripped open my world. Her eyes were red. No makeup. No jewelry. Just a cardigan I remembered buying for her on a chilly Vermont trip. I stood there in silence. I didn't ask why she was there. I didn't offer comfort. I just waited. I'm sorry, she said finally, voice shaking. I'm so sorry, Thad. For all of it. For lying. For making you feel invisible. For using your kindness like a shield. I don't expect forgiveness. But I needed to say it. You didn't deserve what I did. I nodded. Just once. I didn't trust my voice yet. She continued. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it because I thought I could chase some version of myself that didn't exist. I blamed you for the parts of me I didn't want to face. I looked her in the eyes then, not with anger, but clarity. I loved you more than I loved myself, I said. But I don't anymore. And that's not hate. That's healing. She swallowed hard. I'm glad you're okay. I said nothing. Just turned and walked back toward my office. I didn't look back. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I no longer needed anything from her. That was the last time I saw Delaney. Since then, things have slowly changed. My life didn't magically transform overnight. I still have bad days. There are mornings where I reach for a second cup of coffee and wonder who I'd be if none of this happened. But now I live in a small apartment near the water. I adopted a dog named Winston. I started painting again, something I hadn't touched since college. My cousin Jeremy introduced me to a friend of his, a woman named May. We've had a few coffee dates. She listens without judgment. She laughs at my awkward jokes. She doesn't ask me to be anything I'm not. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm breathing without effort. You see, Delaney didn't just betray me, she freed me. I'd spent so long trying to be a good man for someone who never truly saw me. And now, I'm learning how to be that man for myself. To anyone reading this who's ever felt like a ghost in their own relationship, let me tell you something. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you will get through it. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from the lies, from the pain, from the person who made you forget your own worth. I walked away. And finally, I'm home.